Good morning. Good morning. We are live. Welcome, JC. It is a couple days before Halloween 2023. What's going on, JC? It's been a busy last couple weeks, I know, for you, me, everybody. So, what's going on?
Not much, man. A lot of um,
What? There you go.
there we go. Let's start back again.
We're going
No,
crazy today. It's the Halloween edition, I guess.
yeah,
Go ahead.
it,
So,
it was a ghost.
instead, Josh Ghost is trying to jump in again. So what's going on? You've been busy. I hear you've been doing some traveling. How's everything going with you?
Yeah, everything's good. Back to normal again. It's been quite a busy month for everybody. I think the season's changing really quick. Leaves are starting to fall down even more so than the last time we talked, and everybody is just coming down from their Equip Expo high that they've been on last week, and seeing all the posts on social media. Man, it made me feel like I missed out. But this is the year that I unfortunately wasn't able to go. But I do plan on going next year for sure. So if everything works out great, I look to be there and maybe adopt a dog like you did. Who knows?
Yeah, you never know. I mean, it's a good cause to adopt a dog. It's weird. I know we adopted one. The Sibsco kind of adopted two, so it was kind of like a bunch of us from Echo Means Business adopted some dogs, and so I think they're going to try to rename it instead of Mutt Madness next year, Echo Madness. So it's going to be a little interesting. So, but yeah, it was a very interesting time, very fun. I wouldn't say that it's you just can't see everything. It's one of those things that you go and you have fun and you talk with people and you just keep going. So it's you never stop, and I feel like afterwards you're just tired. You're exhausted. I think I'm still kind of getting back to it because it's like we took that first week and just worked like crazy, and now it's like okay, I need to relax, and and it's not going to end for the next couple months, so it's just going to keep going. So
You end up getting more exhausted walking around that entire arena and
oh yeah.
demo area than you would if you'd be working that week. It's crazy. I would imagine how many steps you take in that whole three span of 3 days.
Oh, dude, I think somebody posted that it was like 5 million steps or something if you walk the whole thing at least once or twice. So just think about like how many times. I mean, I know when we're there, we're busy, but we're all over the place. It's like we're never ending. We're constantly moving, 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 and even if you go to some of these places where there's guys that we know that have been in the business for years that are considered influencers, they might be standing there for like a couple hours, but then they're still on the move because they're moving to another booth or they're walking here, they're walking there. They're never stop. You never stop there. It's amazing that there's so many people there that we just keep going and going. And I think this year, I'll tell you what, we went the first day, we were a little bit late because we walked to the Mutt Madness. And by the time we got there, it was probably about almost 10 o'clock. And the parking, dude, the parking was packed. And then the next day it was even more packed. And I feel like there was a lot more than what they had the year before. And I mean, they had a record year the year before. I haven't heard any numbers yet this year, but I'm assuming that it's way over what they had last year. So it's one of those things that I feel like even though they gained more area, they said they opened up a whole nother area this year. From what I heard, it was still packed all the way through. So it's just going to keep growing and growing. And I know there's millions of landscapers that don't go to this thing. And if you can get a quarter of those in the next 5 years to show up, this thing is just going to be, they're going to have to build a whole nother building somewhere in Louisville for this.
Yeah,
I
that's
feel
one
that.
thing I noticed too. After COVID, I think it was that one more year after COVID was where they kept it the Equip Expo, and then they
Right.
changed it over or something. But there was a lot of people, and I think that had a lot to do with it. And then every year it seemed that it's been kind of increasing, and obviously with all the new products that are being unveiled, technology and batteries and everything that's just kind of been growing, I think more people are getting curious and starting to realize how big of an event it is, especially when it comes for networking and just kind of running into the people that interact with on social media. You know, that's cool. As far as the run walk thing, that was it as cold as it was that year we did before?
It was cold.
Yeah.
It was I want to say it was like 35 or something in the morning when we got down there. Um, it was different because like last year we just met in that one spot and everybody kind of hung out. This year they kind of had us go up into the baseball stadium, the back end of the baseball stadium, and just kind of meet there and kind of just walk around, get registered there. Our dog Rocco was there. They had a whole bunch of dogs in a little like kind of pen area, so that way you could see why you were walking for, and what it was going for. So that was kind of like amazing that you kind of got to go in the baseball stadium, didn't have to pay for it. They kind of kept it to where you were right at the back end of the stadium, but it was a whole different ball game from the year before, and I think it's just gonna there was a lot more people this year, so I feel like it's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger, and it's going to be a helpful thing for them. So yeah, it was a lot different. It was a little cooler, but I think it was par for the course. I think once you start getting walking and going, it doesn't bother you. So
I'm gonna have to start training again for next year.
oh yeah, yeah, you're gonna have to train. We walked it. Me and my wife walked it, which she doesn't run, but literally we walked it. We got it done in 55 minutes. So, that's still awesome. I mean, there were still people behind us going. Not I'd say probably by the time we got there was done, there was probably about 65% done. But there's still a lot of people still going. And it's just amazing to see how many people were there this year and compared to last year. And so I feel like it's just gonna keep growing and growing. So
That's cool. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, we did miss you, JC. We definitely missed you. Your face was on the board a couple times on the video screens, and we all missed you from at the booth. That we were at the booth together. So, it you got to come see it. There's a lot of new things you missed out on. Um, I about this company, Yakta.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yakta. That I literally got to sit there and talk to the marketing specialist and a couple of the engineers, and it was amazing how they took all your information and wanted to know what you thought about the mowers ahead of time, and which they'll go into production from what I talked to them, but there's going to be a lot of changes I see that they're going to have to make in the next couple of years to make the mower a perfect mower for everything. But dude, that mower it's heavy duty, and it's going to be a good mower once it's all finished up and
So they
going.
haven't even launched yet. Those are just kind of like
There were,
in-person prototypes.
from what I gathered, he said that they were already producing them, that they're going to totally put them out. Um, but literally, there were some things on them. The ones inside were the prototypes that you could tell that they weren't totally finished, right? And I was kind of pointing to the one engineer like, "Oh, this needs to be changed. This needs to be changed." And I said, "This is stuff that like." As a landscaper doing it, they know, or somebody that's mowing knows what they're looking for. And I said, I know that you guys do it the way you do it to save, metal or whatever, or think it's, designed right, but I would change this. And he was like, oh, okay. Well, he's like, if you got any more information, let me know. Like, I want to know more about, if you go, he was like, go test it out outside and come back to me or send me some information. And he goes, I'll be willing to talk to you more about it. So I think they're going to keep working on it, and I know that they know that it needs to be worked on, and they're going to continue to make it the best mower out there for them. But yeah, their mowers are just they're heavy duty, and they're meant to work for. You're gonna beat them up, and still that's what their warranty's for. I think that's what their warranty's for, and they feel like that's gonna last
Hmm.
for a while.
That's good
So
that they're asking for feedback, and I think it would be pretty cool if somehow you could get yourself into like getting a demo at some point to kind of review it, because I'm sure they're going to be relying on that just to kind of get their word out a lot more to people in the industry. I mean, they've already turned some heads already, I'm sure, with what
oh
they
yeah,
had at the show. But it's one thing to see it and kind of ride around, but it's nothing to like at the demo area. I don't know if a lot of people that have never been to the show, you can't put your PTOs on. You're not going to be cutting the blade. So cut quality and all that, you're not going to be able to get a feel of that when you're demoing these mowers at the show. So if they were to work out something where some people could take, and I'm sure they'll do it, they'll probably hit up the big influencers
right.
on social media to get the word out, which I mean, it'd be smart for them, right? But
Right.
But to get a feel for it, yeah, I was interested in that. One of the biggest things that I was curious about was um, the no tool belt replacements.
Yeah.
And I don't know how easy it is to get under that deck or how difficult it is to get under that deck to clean it out. So I'm not sure if that's another feature that they had.
Yeah, they were talking about it a little bit. They said the change of belt was a lot easier. It was kind of hard to kind of get underneath. You couldn't really get under it to see it. So it was one of those things. I think that till you get out there and see it, you're gonna have to be one of those ones that goes through and does that. So um, yeah, it's gonna be one of those things. I think that'll be interesting. And like I said, they're gonna keep growing on it and keep adjusting things. And a lot of companies do. And I think that's one of the good things. But like you said, this is one of those things where you go out there and test these mowers, and like you said, you don't get to test the PTO. You don't know how it runs, you know, mowing grass. It's one of those things that I actually went to dealer day after that at my local dealer, and we were talking about that. And that's one of the things, like, if you go to your dealer, if your dealer has that mower that you want to test out, they'll be willing to demo it. They should have demos. A lot of them have demos. Our dealer does Exmark, Bad Boy, Gravely, and he has pretty much 5 total demos, and they're pretty much their sit downs, their stand downs. You know, he's willing to demo them if you want to demo them. And he's always told me, like, hey, you want to demo one of these ones that I have on the showroom floor, and you're very interested in it. He'll turn it into a demo just so you can demo it. Because he wants to make sure that that's the mower that you want before he sells it to you. He doesn't want you to come back a month later and say, I want to resell it back to you. And I
Right.
think a lot of dealers will do that for you. But I see, it's hard to run them out there. You're driving them on the ground. Um, Thursday was a lot different. It was muddy. It rained overnight Wednesday night, so it was a muddy mess. So it was like driving them in, like dirt track racing all the way around for a while there. So it was a little bit different on Thursday than the other days. But yeah, it was very interesting.
Did you notice that there was more? At least I saw it on social media that there was more people going to the show in motorhomes and RVs and utilizing the parking spots than years back.
Yeah. Yeah, I think there was a lot more RVs there. Um, there's a lot, dude. There was a lot more people, I feel, that left with equipment. Our buddy Richie Plemons, I had actually bought a Ferris beforehand, so literally he pretty much came there and got it from Ferris Exact. So it was very interesting to see a lot of people that came in there and bought ahead of time. And like a lot of these dealers and companies sell them right then and there. So it's like it's interesting that to watch people stay to the very last part. And it was interesting because Friday we were there. I did my speech, and then we kind of walked the floor and was walking outside. And literally, this is at like noon. You hear across the PA nonstop for probably the last. We stayed there till 1. It was every 15 minutes, like, do not take anything apart, do not take any of the equipment off of out of the booth ahead of time before 2 o'clock. 2 o'clock's our last time, do not take nothing out of the booth. So it was like people were already buying stuff and walking out with it, trying to get it out of the area ahead of time. And because I get it, these people that own these booths don't want to have it there for 3 o'clock, 5 o'clock, and they don't want to stay there either, as long as we had.
Yeah.
So it's interesting how they were like putting it across. You're like, don't take it yet. It's not 2 o'clock, dude. Leave it where it's at, and you're like, what? Why? Why? And then, a lot of people don't realize that you can
Yeah.
buy the stuff there.
Well,
It's
that
very
is
interesting.
my first year was 2016, and I kind of thought that it was that type of show because I've never been before where you could kind of buy things at discount, and then there are certain things that you could work out. Like it's not like there's price tags on everything that you could buy and you can buy it there, but there are certain things, and if you talk to the representative, you'll be able to buy something if they're willing. But the last day on my first trip ever there, I bought a Earthway spreader, and same thing. Like they didn't want people to walk out with equipment prior to a certain time, and part of the reason why some of these vendors want to sell you some stuff is because they don't want to. They want to try to minimize what they have to pack up and take with them. So as I was walking out with this spreader, like every 5 minutes, like I'd be stopped by security, and I'm like, I had to show them that I bought it. I mean, I didn't even have a receipt. I think I did some kind of like online. I bought it online or something. I showed the receipt that way, but it was even funnier because I didn't have my truck. I had a car, a sedan that I drove. I drove that year down to Louisville, 14 hours from Massachusetts, and I just stuffed that spreader into the back seat. I don't know how I got it in there, and I was driving back home with that whole entire thing in the back. But yeah, it was pretty funny, man. I definitely missed out. It's always a good time. I think my biggest thing is seeing everybody and all the friends and the Echo Means Business Social Lounge and hanging out with everybody from Echo. It's always a blast.
Yeah, it's always a good event. I think networking with people, especially people, I mean, literally across the world that come there. You had people from Canada that, you don't see these people on a regular basis. So, when you see somebody that's like literally, that says, hey, I talked to you on Facebook or on Instagram and watch your stuff. And, they want to sit there and talk to you. It's very interesting that, you're like, where are you from? Oh, you're way up there in Canada. Like, what's you got questions for them at that point. You're like, well, what do you do? Well, like, it's not, you start to network a lot more, I think, at these, especially this event. Like, yeah, there's a lot of people that don't know who you are, don't know who a lot of these people are. They're just there to look at equipment and look at everything. But a lot of them are just like, hey, like, this is cool. I want to meet you. I want to talk to you, and or I've seen you. I've talked to you many times, and it's amazing. Just that, I mean, literally, we met somebody that was from where was he? He's from the UK. He was born in Newfoundland, I think it was, or over in Denmark, somewhere over there. So it was like just to sit there and talk to him compared to somebody that like is in the United States, like literally down the road. You're like, wait a minute, I want to talk to you about like lawn care more. Like, well, let's talk this stuff. Let's see how your stuff is compared to ours. It's very interesting, very interesting. And we
I'm a nobody, and I'll never claim to be anybody.
Well, I don't think I am either, and I think some other people came to me and was like, "Oh, you're a big influencer to me," and I'm like, "No, I'm not.
Well,
Don't say that. I'm not that guy." Like,
that's
I'm not
my
that guy.
point because my first, well, not my first year because nobody knew my first year, but when I started doing the Instagram and then like that first year I hit it really heavy. Like I was starting to make like YouTube, like constant YouTube videos, and just my social media on Instagram was just constant. Like I'd do like 2 or 3 posts a day and started getting followers. So the following year when I came back to the show, like I was walking around and people were like, "Hey, JC," and I'm turning around and I just don't know. I
Right,
didn't know that. I feel bad. I'm like, I don't. I'm saying to myself, I don't know who. Hey, what's up, man? How you
right,
doing? And they're
right.
like, oh yeah, yeah, asking you questions and like all, asking you about stuff that you posted in the past, and it's pretty cool, like. But
Oh,
it's nice to even if you don't know people and seeing someone that you're familiar with, just to that first introduction and saying hi to somebody. Hey, I finally got a chance to say hi to this person in person who I follow. It's just kind of cool. It's a cool connection. It's different. Um, you know, I guess in this day and age, it's not uncommon anymore.
yeah.
To be in that type of situation. But yeah, man. About the show, I see the scrolling on the bottom there, and it's like it got the Halloween
Yeah,
type of
it's
theme.
a little Halloween themed today.
Where's your costume, man?
I didn't wear it. I literally had last night. We went to a party and I had split mohawk, so I had a double mohawk last night. If you've seen me in my stories, but yeah, I don't have a costume on today. But we are going to talk about some stuff that's Halloween related. So today is a couple days before Halloween, and if you look down there, it's a little spooky. Like look at it, we're
Yeah.
orange here. Um, but I want to go straight to the point. So my question for you, JC, what's your biggest fear in business, life, general? Like everybody has fears. I think it's good to get your fear out there because then it helps you manifest what you have to work on, and what you can try to adjust in your life to make it better. So I'm going to ask you, what's your biggest fear, totally business wise, life, anything that you can think of right now?
Initially, when I started, my biggest fear was just interacting with people, like offering my business to them.
Okay.
knocking on people's doors and just trying to get my name out there. Cause I had this fear of not being prepared if there was a big demand for my services because I didn't want to promise something that I wasn't able to complete. So
Right.
like I refrained a little bit from advertising strongly. Like, and I think that would be a good recommendation for anybody starting a business. Is as eager and as motivated that you are, you have to think about the realistic approach of things. Like, yes, it's so much easier to like put flyers and maybe put yourself online and Facebook and maybe even pay for like a service for where Google puts you up there. But if you don't have the means to back up the demand, you're going to be finding yourself a situation. So like have patience in this business or in this industry and then get a feel for what the demand is for your services. And then when you feel that you need to increase that, then continue on with a stronger approach of that marketing. And that was the biggest fear that I had when I first started when it came to this business. And I still sometimes have it. Second fear, not in any particular orders, I would say like underpricing a job. Um, and that's happened, and
Right.
that's another thing you learn from when it comes to mistakes, underpricing your jobs. But sometimes those are important, not important, but sometimes it's an evil necessity because you learn from it, So you learn
Yeah.
from your mistakes. You're going to make mistakes.
Oh yeah, I think so. I mean, you can
Uh,
never stop that. I mean, that's I feel like even in my business, I still kind of make that mistake sometimes because I look at the job and I say, "Oh, I'm gonna just price it this," and then you're like in your butt off of it, and you're like, "Oh, I underpriced the crap out of that job." But you look at it like it's work sometimes, and it's you got to kind of look at it more like, okay, how long does it gonna take me? Really, what's it gonna take? If it's gonna take me this long, I need to say this, and I think you gotta know exactly your numbers and know exactly where you got to be at to make sure you're priced right. So you know,
yeah, that reminds like one of my stories was I took on this fairly big leaf cleanup job, and the only thing I had for equipment was a PB 580T.
oh,
And I was naive. I mean, I thought it was gonna be a cakewalk. I'm like, I'll just bang it out and get paid. And number one, I undersold it tremendously.
wow,
Number two, it was like so cold outside that day, like I didn't anticipate for the weather.
hmm,
And as awesome as that 580T was for that job, it got the job done, but it got the job done in like three times more the time than I thought it would, and it was hell. That day was hell.
right.
Um, I was happy when I got it done. The 580T got the job done, but it was just heavy New England leaves, just all wet, all matted. And this was a customer that waited to the very, very, very end, and not kept up. And I actually have one like that right now too. So I've learned. But yeah, and then I think another fear that I have is pertaining to equipment, having something break down, you know, in the beginning or mid job, or I don't know, like things like that, just like mishaps.
Right, right. Yeah, feel like you kind of get that, and I've had it to where I went for years where I had backups, and it's always good to have backups. Um, just like our smaller equipment, we have extra weed whip blowers that we keep older ones that have the parts. So we keep the parts. We keep the whole thing if we can, so that way we can just switch stuff out. But I got to that point where one year it was like everything was going great. I was like, okay, I'm gonna get rid of everything. I'm gonna crap wise. It's just sitting there. And I did. And then 2 years later, it came back and bit me in the butt to where I was like, okay, I need this part. Well, if I would have had that mower, I could have took that part off of that. It's one of those things. It's hard to say, yeah, let's get that part. And a lot of dealers will take time to get it, and that's where us as business people are like, crap. Like, what do we do at that point? It's hard. It's one of those things. That I think that's a fear for anybody that's in business. If you're not afraid of like stuff breaking down, like it's gonna break down. Like I've talked to many people that have brand new pieces of equipment. I've had it before myself too, where I've had a brand new piece of equipment go a couple months on it and literally break down. It's not because you know, a faulty, issue with the way it was built. It could be just something that just they didn't know about that just popped up out of nowhere and like boom, there you go. It needs to be fixed. These things happen. It could be new, it could be old, but you got to have a backup sometimes, and sometimes you got to make sure you have a plan in place to say, this is what I can do and go from there. So it's very, it's one of those things that everybody's going to hopefully have that fear. If you don't have that fear, you
Yeah.
better start thinking about that ahead of time.
Yeah, and uh, we've all had stories where we've had our mishaps, and there's this one that recently happened. It wasn't too devastating. It was just more of a huge inconvenience where I was mowing a lawn, and actually it was my own, and it was in the front, but where my property goes, it's kind of downhill, and I'm just cruising
Yeah.
along, everything's fine. All of a sudden, snap! The drive belt
Oh,
just went on me, and that mower's heavy. So I released the brake release, and I'm trying to. There's no way in hell that I'm going to be pushing this mower by myself. And I still don't have my truck, but I didn't have a
yeah.
truck. So I'm like, how the heck am I going to get this thing out of there? I had a rope, found the rope, I tied it on there. I was able to kind of drag it to a point, back up my car, drag it to a point where I was able to get it into my garage and then push the rest of it in. And then the rest of the entire day, it was where I'm spending time trying to buy a replacement belt, going back and forth, and I ended up finishing the job a little longer than expected because I couldn't find the right belt. But anyways, like that's just an example of something that could occur out there, and you kind of have to be prepared for those things. That's why after doing those mistakes, I've learned to buy spare replacement parts of the stuff that I would most likely go through. And I never used to do that before. Now I do spare belts, even like a carburetor, just to have
Right.
it there so that if you need to change it, you don't have to wait a couple days to order it.
Right. Now,
Oil.
okay, here's a question for you now, since that's happened, like say a joystick or like a power knob goes out on you, something that's very uncommon. Would you buy two of them, replace the one, and keep the extra one? That's something that I've been doing for the last couple of years. Is to where if something breaks that's just random, it's like I buy two of them just to make sure that I have it on there in case that breaks again, or if it breaks out another piece of equipment, I have that piece for it. Is that something that you've been doing too, or you just buy the one? And especially, because I know, like you said, carburetors are something that's going to go eventually. So I can see that, but like little stuff like power cords and all that stuff, you buy double those.
Yeah, it depends how expensive it is. I mean, if it's something
Okay.
to where it's a reasonable price, I'll
Well, yeah, I don't want like $500 engines or $1,000 engines
yeah.
sitting around that I'm not going to use. I mean, I agree with you on that. Like it's one of those things. Like,
Yeah,
yeah,
like
it's
belts,
way expensive.
I'll buy multiple belts instead of one because even sometimes, like if let's say the tension's off or whatever, and you put a new belt on, that new belt could break.
Yeah, yeah, I can see
And I
that.
want to run again.
I mean, pulleys are cheap. I mean, I think I have a crap load of pulleys in the shop. I actually have some for mowers I don't even have anymore. So it's like I kind of just have them and try to use them if we can use them. I think you learn that you sometimes might need some little things.
I think the Jar Sisters. I saw a video that they posted on YouTube this past week, and they ran into an issue where their mower wasn't operating whenever they engaged a PTO, and whenever they tried to pull the lever for it to turn right or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
And they had a
I wonder if
issue
that
with it.
was a electrical issue or a fuse issue because I know a lot of them have fuse issues, but I know the PTOs go down to the clutches, and a lot of times them clutches can go, and that's a a very high price thing. That's one of them things that
Hmm.
literally a clutch might go out on you like at 100 hours, might go out on 1,000 hours, but once it goes, you're like, do I buy two of them or do I buy one? Because literally they might go forever on it. So yeah, them are
Theirs
definitely
was
some.
the safety
Okay.
bypass thing there, and then they'd have to
Yeah,
replace that. But that would be something where I'd buy maybe one or two of those because you have two already.
yeah, them safety things are worth buying. I mean, you got a couple of those. those always seem like they go faulty after so many months, years, and stuff because of the movement they get. Yeah,
Yeah.
I can definitely see that.
So,
Okay.
what was the last question you had for my personal fears?
Yeah, do you have a personal one? I mean, we're going into Halloween. Come on, make it something easy, something nice and
Oh,
scary.
man.
I know you got some scary stuff. So
Well, I don't like to talk about it just because it makes me feel like I'm
okay, we won't talk about it
I'm
then.
a weenie. No, I'll talk about it.
Yeah.
That's fine. This is all
This is why Josh isn't on here. Josh decided he was afraid of this topic,
yeah.
so he didn't want to talk about his fears. That's why Josh isn't here, guys.
I guess the
Just to let
point
you
of
know.
is landscape is the point, but it's also Scott, JC, and Josh to the point. So
Yeah.
I'll let it be known.
Okay.
Few things. All right. I am I'm not allergic, but I'm deathly afraid of bees.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
I understand that.
uh, I'll jump off of a moving mower, if one flies by my head, and it's kind of ironic because we're in this industry where we're dealing, with high grass, shrubs, bushes, trees, whatever you name it. I've only been stung, knock on wood, twice in my life, and I'm all set. I just don't like
It's one of those
dangerous
things.
things buzzing all over me. I don't know.
Flying by your head. Yeah, I
Wasps and
can see that.
hornets. Nah, man, I'm all set. To me in life, they serve no legitimate purpose. I don't eat honey either, so I don't care. Uh, um, another thing that I'm deathly afraid of is cockroaches.
Okay.
Deathly afraid of. I think I'd prefer the bees over the cockroaches.
Right.
Where my family's from in Puerto Rico, as kids we would visit, and it was very I wouldn't say, it was very countryside, very impoverish, but everybody was really happy where they lived there, and it was nice. And the community was great, but their plumbing was simple. Their everything was just very simple, but
Right.
they had these Caribbean bugs, or they're literally at the size of my fist. I know I'm exaggerating,
Jeez.
but in my head, that's how big they are.
Right. Right.
And they fly, and they're just creepy. And man, one day when I was a kid, I was taking a shower, and the electricity went out, and everything was just darkness. And I'm like, freaking out. Oh, because
Right.
they come out in the dark, man.
Right. Right.
And as soon as the lights came back on, there was like four of them, all like, I don't like freaking out, yelling and whatever. And it's just traumatizing. And then when you go to bed at night, like I'm like this under the sheets. I'm like just afraid that I couldn't sleep over there.
Right.
But the cockroaches just freaking scare the bejesus out of me, man.
I can understand that. Yeah, I can really understand that one. Yeah. I mean, yeah, little bugs I think have always freaked me out like that. Like little like cockroaches, like centipedes, they always freak me out.
Oh,
Just one of those things. I don't, I'm fine with snakes. It's just them like it's just I don't know. I can't deal with it. Some of them, those little bugs, dude. It's just and have always been that way. And then as a landscaper, people always used to say, "Well, you got to get your hands dirty. You got to stick your hands in the dirt and all that." Dude, I'll do it, but like if I see something come out of there that just freaks the crap out of me, like I ain't sticking my hand in there no more. Like I'm done with that whole. Princess says my biggest fear is finding a child in my bed. I
what?
can okay. I can understand that, Princess. Yeah, kids waking up when you wake up and there's a kid in your bed. Yeah, that's pretty bad.
Here's a difference, like a mouse. Okay, like I know
Yeah,
people are afraid of mice. I don't care. They don't bother me. Because
right,
they're smart enough to know that if you're near them, they're gonna run away.
right,
Insects don't know any better. They're gonna run
right.
towards you, and that's what freaks me out.
Yeah. Um, well, then I'll jump on it. My biggest fear, okay. We'll just go in life right off the way. Mine, even since I was growing up, was sharks. Sharks scare the shit out of me. Um, I can watch a movie with them and be fine, but being out in the water, there's something about it. I mean, I will not go in the ocean deep enough to where I'm worried about that. Even even when we got married, we went down to Cancun and we were out snorkeling. We went snorkeled and they were taking us into areas and they said, here's some coral, here's Mexican piranhas and all that stuff. That didn't bother me. That didn't really bother me at all. It was more of when we got back, we went out to the ocean and something huge went right by my feet. And I don't know if it was a fish, a nerf shark or what, but that put me to where I was like, yep, I'm on the beach for the rest of the time I'm out here. I'll go swim in the pool. I'm not going into the thing. Even as I was growing up, my dad had a pool, and it was like if it got to where the sun was beating over just a section of it, I'm like, could there be a shark in this pool? Like it's a little dark over on that side of the pool. I don't know if I want to go on the side of the pool. That's one of the things I think that I would be more. They just scare the shit out of me. I mean, they could be in a aquarium. That's fine. I'll walk by them, but I'm not getting in a pool of water with them. There's definitely not. And I think the next one would be crocodiles and alligators, dude. The people that live down in Florida that mow around them, dude, I don't even think I could mow around water if I was down there. Like now knowing, I mean, I literally just watched Crawl last night, which is a movie about alligators down in one of the hurricanes or something came through. And dude, I'll tell you what, that just made more of my fear realize like that they could come around when you have that kind of stuff. So, I'm just like, great, that's not what I want, but yeah, alligators, sharks, anything by water, just I'll stay away from it.
I think there's a fear of the unknown, right? Obviously. So like
right.
When I'm not a swimmer. I mean, I could float for like 5 minutes. That's about it. But I don't know. But I don't like swimming in lakes because I think that it's dirty. Like it's mucky waters. There's like people throw trash in the lake. There's weird fish and slugs and snails and eels. I don't swim in lakes at all.
See, and I had no problem growing up because my aunt had a place in a lake house, so that was fine. But it was just, I think, after watching Jaws and realizing that those things are real in the water, you don't know where they're at. You can't see them. It's one of those things like, okay, no.
Even if you're in crystal clear water in the Caribbean and like in Mexico, and even if you could see down the water, once you see something, you can't get out of that water fast enough. No. You're screwed anyways.
No. Right. You could be the fastest swimmer. I mean, that was one of the things that they said in that watching the Crawl, there was a chick that she was the fastest swimmer. How can she outswim some of these alligators? I know they swim pretty fast. There's no way she swam these alligators in this movie. So I think the movie's fake, but if it did happen, I'm very happy that she's that good of a swimmer. I'm not that good of a swimmer, so I'd be the one guy that got eaten right off the bat just standing there. Like, no. So like, I'd like to see him in captivity, but I'm not gonna go see him. And like Pablo down there. Pablo mows around some of those places. I know a couple other guys that mow down there, and it's like one of those things that you're just like, dude, how can you mow near that lake? And that there's alligators probably in that lake.
Oh yeah.
And some of these guys weed whip right by them, and they're like, oh yeah, we'll just weed whip by this break. No way, I'm not gonna weed whip around this lake. I'd be the first guy to be like, I'll sit by the front of the truck and do the front of the house. You go in the backyard. I'll stay back here.
Are you afraid of ghosts?
No,
me neither.
I don't think ghosts. It's one of those things. It's just kind of like, we have one place that has snakes. I mean, snakes are all right, but like there's a hill that we do by a pond at one of our accounts that we have to weed whip every month. And it's like you step on these snake holes all the time, and it's like, is this snake gonna come out and crawl up my boot? I'm kind of like leery about that too. I'm fine with the water there because it's like, I know it's just a pond. Like there's no. Well, I mean, shit. Now I think about it, there could be an alligator in there. Thanks, guys. Okay, so maybe that could be one of the problems with anything there. So, but yeah,
what I was afraid of when I was a kid too was taking a shit in the toilet. Like I would I would always fear like something was gonna come up from the
Come up,
plumbing.
yeah. There was a movie, and I think it was Piranha 2, I think it was, that literally had me leery about taking a bath at that point because it was, I think there's a scene in it that somehow like piranhas got in the water system and then like came through the water when it was filling up the bathtub, and the guy put soap in it. And I think at that point when I was younger, after watching that, I didn't take a bath for like probably about 2 months because it was like, nah, I don't know what's gonna come out of that hole right there into the bathtub. It was like I take a shower, but I am not taking a bath. Nope, nope. It's like it I think, yeah, you worry about like what's gonna come out of this, you know. Like there you go. So you probably wouldn't go to Australia because in Australia snakes like to hide in the water. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. See,
I don't
so
I
that
don't
might
know.
be
Like
the
I wouldn't be afraid of using the bathroom. I'm not gonna jump in any water though, you know?
yeah. I wouldn't either. There's no way.
We should get Angel on here because isn't she
Yeah,
from Australia? Like, there's so
yeah.
many things in Australia I hear that could kill you. Like,
Oh yeah, she told me a lot last time I talked to her about that stuff. Like she said that there's all kinds of sharks and alligators or spiders or snakes. There's all kinds of stuff over there that'll just kill you that are just huge. They're 10 times huger than anywhere else because of the climate. Like I'm nah. I told her, I said I wouldn't go there. There's no way.
what
It
were
might
you
be not.
afraid of as a kid?
What else was I afraid of?
As a kid,
Uh the basement. I was afraid of the basement. I really was. Like the dark unknown of the basement. I was always afraid of going down in the basement. My parents, literally, the one place we stayed at, and I think we moved in there when I was 5. Literally, you had to go down in the basement. The only way you could turn the light on was to go down in the basement. You had to be in the middle of the room and pull the little cord that literally, that was the only way you could turn the light on down there. So it literally scared the shit out of me every time because the washer and dryer were down there. My parents would be like, "Oh, you need," I'd be like, "I need a towel. I need this. Go down in the basement, get it." Like, really? You want me to go down there? And then we had an old oil furnace. So when it kicked on, it was like loud, and it was like it would almost always happen at that point, and you could see the glowing through the thing for the heat, and you're like, what is that? And then once you turn on the light, oh, it's just the furnace. Okay, and literally there was literally, I hate to tell you this, but there was a door, okay, that literally was there, and when I turned about 12, I made sure I took the door down. I took the door off. It was a door that went up the steps, and it was like a half crawl, but it was always there, and I didn't know that until I was like 12 or 13, where I actually opened the door and I then took it off the hinges because I couldn't stand it because it was like it was back in the corner and there's this door. And there was this thing's all wide open except for the furnace and the washer and dryer and all the stuff that we had put down there. But it was like, here's this door over here. Where's this door go to? I always was like, where does that, because I knew it was under like one of the bedrooms, and I'm like, where does that door go to? Why is there a room under this bedroom? It always kind of freaked me out too, because I mean, we grew up watching Freddy and Jason and all that stuff and Chucky and all that stuff. So it was kind of like, okay, I'm not really afraid of them, but it was like, what is really under this what's in this door, until I actually got to that age where I was like, okay, I got to open this up. I got to figure out what's in there because, it scared the crap out of
it's
me.
the unknown. You're afraid of
Yeah.
the unknown. Like,
Yeah.
you know,
It's definitely one of those things that you're like, okay, what's in there? What's going on? But yeah, that scared the crap out of me being in the basement. Just the light thing. I mean, I think our parents had a flashlight, but the batteries never worked half the time. So it was like, and I know if I walked down there with a flashlight, my stepdad would be like, "Why are you walking down with a flashlight?"
like if there is something down there, what's the flashlight gonna do
Yeah,
for you?
So it was like, nah, it's all right, So yeah, that was one of my biggest fear when I was a kid. I mean, it definitely, I think a lot of people, like you said, the fear of unknown of, we grew up, that was one of the things is everything was dark and dreary, it was like, okay, what is this? What's down here? What could be down here? And there never was nothing down there. There never was, but it was just I think that's one of the things why when I built my house, I didn't want a basement. Maybe I don't know. Maybe that's still stuck in my mind of like I don't want a basement. I don't want to have to worry about that. But I do have a crawl that I have to crawl on, and I regret not maybe doing the basement now that I have to have a crawl. But
When I was a kid, my mom it's gonna sound funny, because I used to be an altar boy at church and stuff like that and everything. So my family's somewhat religious,
right,
and my mom had a picture of Jesus like this, like the really like detailed picture of Jesus.
right,
And man, I guess it's a good thing to have a fear of God, but
right.
I was so afraid of that picture, man. I would never look at it, like, because I'm like, hey, yeah, he's gonna know all the bad stuff I'm doing, and he's watching me. And I just,
Right.
whenever my mom needed to get the truth out of me, she would just,
Stick you in front of the picture.
God's watching, and I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I did it, I'm sorry.
Did you feel like the eyes were following you as you
Yeah,
walked by it?
yeah,
Dude, I hated pictures when I was younger like that because you walk by it and you're like, did that eye follow me all the way down to the end of the hall? Like I think that's also a creepy thing when you're younger,
yeah.
like especially because you watch some movies. There is some movies out there that literally they cut the eyeballs out and you're like, and you can tell people are looking, you're like, is there someone behind this wall? You know, I always it I feel weirded out when I go certain places. Also, like literally, when we went down to Louisville, we stayed in a house. We were supposed to have a bunch of people come with us, and they couldn't make it. So literally, it was me and my wife at this house. It's a nice house. It's a nice area, perfect place. It freaked me to crap out because literally, a lot of them lock their basements, which is fine. I understand that you don't want people down in the basement; they could trip and stuff. That's fine. It was weirded out. I was more weirded out because there was food on the counters because this is an Airbnb. Literally, a lot of Airbnbs. There's no food on the counters. Food in the fridge, and it was like, go ahead and have whatever you want. Is what in one of the things, and I'm like, this is weird. Like, why would you want me to eat food that you left? Like, I'm just weirded out. But then we went upstairs because this place it says it's 3 bedroom. Go upstairs. There's signs everywhere showing where the emergency exits are. And I'm looking at the one before we went upstairs, and it said there's a 4th bedroom upstairs. And I'm like, 4th bedroom? This thing said it was 3 bedroom. Like, this doesn't make sense. Oh yeah, there was a 4th bedroom up there, locked. Couldn't get in it. And I'm like, why do you have a bedroom up here that's locked? Like that just throws me to crap out. And you're staying here, and then you go into the rooms. Every room's nice. It's a beautiful place. Nice floors and everything. And each room has a lock for each room when you walk in there that you can lock your bedroom door. And I'm like, why? Why would I want to lock my bedroom door if I'm in a nice area? Why would I want to lock my bedroom door when I'm here? Like that's just freaky as heck. Like, it was one of the things I was kind of glad to get out of there, but it freaked me out. Like, why is there a bedroom door locked here? Is there somebody here? Like, is there not somebody here? Like if there is, like, just come out and say it. Like somebody's living here, like.
You wonder if there's like
This is my spare
cameras.
room. What?
You wonder if there's like cameras,
Oh
set
yeah,
up.
dude. Anytime I stay at like an Airbnb, a hotel, I'm always like looking for cameras because cameras are everywhere. Cameras are in everything of our life anymore, and it's one of those things like I'm always looking for that light, or I'm looking, saying like, is this a camera in here? Is this a camera in here? Like I'm always looking for like that. Like why is there like 4 air vents here? You're like, okay, why is that possible? So
They say
yeah.
they say there's a trick to that. So like if you're in a room where you think that there's a camera, they say something like turn your phone camera on and scan the room with it. And if there's like an LED or something blinking from somewhere, that's how you could tell that there's a camera. I'm not sure how if it works, but
We're gonna have to try that.
yeah.
So guys, we're all going in Chicago. JC's coming to Chicago. Josh had mentioned this last week. We are going to Chicago here in a couple weeks. We're going to do a live podcast at night from Chicago. A couple other people will be joining us. So we're going to have some really good insight on some stuff. We're going to get some good business tips and everything, hopefully. And we're going to just talk normal stuff. But yeah, maybe we should test that out when we go to Chicago. We'll go through the room and test it out and see if we can find some cameras.
Yeah, I don't know how well it works. Someone told me that. I forgot who it was. But hey, on another note,
Yeah.
since this is a Halloween kind of special show.
Yeah.
Are your kids trick or treating? Are you going to be going with them? And if so, what are you going to be dressing up as? Because I know you went
Uh,
yesterday to that party, or
yes.
double Mohawk man.
Yeah, double mohawk, man. My youngest still wants a trick or treat, which is fine. He's 12, 13 gonna be. So it's fine. I'm fine going with him. I'm gonna walk with him and just let him go get candy, whatever. Usually I just walk by myself. Usually we go with a bunch of friends. I don't know if they're going or not this year. So literally it'll probably just me walking with him. My daughter, which is 17, she's going to a trick or treat, trunk or treat thing tonight. And I know she's going to pass out candy, and I think she was going to do it on Halloween too. So, and from what I know, I don't think she's dressing up, but I know like my youngest is. He's going to wear Genji from Overwatch. It's a game, so literally he's going to dress up as him. And usually I just go by myself. I know a couple years ago I have a clown mask that I can wear, and I also have a this huge unicorn head that I have. If you guys have not seen it, go look on my page. It's somewhere on my Instagram page at Landscapes by Acme. I have worn that a couple times walking out, and it's pretty cool. A lot of people have fun with it when I see it. So, I mean, that might be something I might wear this time. So, you never know. Yeah. So are you gonna pass out candy? Let's see if that. Are you gonna pass out candy? And if so, what kind of candy are you passing out? Because I think that all makes a difference on who who comes to your house. Do I feel like I hate to say it, but some people pass out apples and stuff, and I know a lot of kids don't like that. And then the apples get thrown back at the house or something. We did go a couple years ago. There was somebody like passing out pops to the kids, and it was kind of weird, but it was like, okay, well, I get it. It's different. There's been a couple places that we go to that they pass out, like bracelets and rings and all kinds of different things. So it's not like they're not passing out candy; they're passing out different things, which the kids enjoy that too. So, but I know my kids when they see the bag of popcorn or the apple are like, "Oh yeah, we got the popcorn, apple." So, what would you pass out if you were passing out candy? If you're passing out candy,
So I don't get trick or treaters because where I live, it's very rural, no street
okay,
lights, dark, and no sidewalks. But I've always wanted to, and if I would, I'd be that house that goes and gets the full size candy bars and
ooh, full size. See,
yeah, the
yeah,
full
see
size,
that?
the
See,
Snickers, the
I
Kit
think
Kats, the Butterfingers, whatever they want. I'd get
right,
like that whole variety, that Costco or BJ's,
Costco, yeah,
variety pack. Yeah, I would definitely do that. I actually was disappointed when I bought my house. I thought I'd at least get like some neighborhood kids, come by, but it's just too dangerous because the street's very narrow and it's a busy street. There's no sidewalks. But I've always wanted to dress up as uh, Bill and Ted from Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, but I
nice.
I could never find somebody to pair up with to
You gotta go over to Josh's house. There
yeah,
you go. Go over to Josh, make him
yeah.
somebody.
I'll
There
be
you go.
Keanu Reeves. He could be it was Dave Winters there, whoever his
Yeah.
name is. It's Ted. Bill Eyes Bill. Um,
Yeah. Well, that would work out because he is shorter than you. So
yeah,
see, that would work out. That would really work out.
yeah,
I
yeah.
think it would be perfect. Yeah.
So I've always wanted to do that. My nephew did that trunk or treat yesterday. I didn't
Okay.
go, but for his school they had like the trunk. That's kind of a new thing. It's kind of cool though.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know.
It's very interesting. I know they're doing it a lot. Around our area, literally our street, the same thing. There our street is it's 50-mile-an-hour down our street. We're right by cornfield. Literally houses are way apart. Nobody comes down our street. And it's, you know, our place that we lived in for 7 years before this, it was the same thing. It was a smaller community, but a lot of kids didn't trick or treat there. We always have gone to different cities and just gone into the city. And our one city, literally, it's a small city, but literally, like, people come out there. Good morning, hi, Karen. A lot of people just go out there and just kid pass out candy. I mean, they literally will get handfuls at people's houses. These people don't mind giving out tons of candy. And then pretty much they go to the fire station afterwards. The fire station gives them food. and then pretty much candy too. So it's like it's a win-win for our kids if they do go. So yeah, and we used to pass out when we originally started. We used to pass out, and then once we had kids, we started going to my in-laws, and they live in a nicer area, and we would just. I used to take the Gator, John Deere Gator. I had a John Deere Gator, and used to take my kids and my father-in-law and my wife, and we just drive around and go from place to place. And then when the kids were done, it was like, okay, pop in. We're driving back to the house. We're not, it was a lot interesting, and it was a lot funner that way because then you weren't walking with kids and I'm tired, and you're like 14 blocks back and be like, okay, I gotta carry you all the way back, So yeah, it's very nice. It's interesting. Yeah. So, what do you think Josh will hand out? I think he's like one of those penny pinchers and hands out those like penny candies. Toothbrushes. He's gonna get it because he's not on here, so we're gonna throw it out on him.
I don't know. I think he's the type of person that would shut the lights off in his house and close the doors. I don't know.
I think so too. I really do. I think that he would definitely be the one that shuts the doors, turns the lights off,
puts a sign that says no candy.
Yeah, no candy. He tells his wife, go in your bedroom, shut the light off, watch your phone. He tells his kids, like, hey, you guys got to be quiet. Keep the dog off in the bag. Dog's not barking when people walk by. I can see that, especially since he's on a corner too now, because I bet you he's the one on the corner. Like everybody be like, oh, that's a house. We could go right here. It's corner.
It's the haunted house.
Yeah.
No one goes to. I don't know. He's either that type of person or he'll like, I don't know, he'll give out a mixtape or something like that he recorded.
A mixtape.
Yeah. Is the greatest hits of Korn,
I can see him getting a bag, like baggies, and putting in like the little bit of stone that you put for underneath the patios, and like, look, here you go. Yeah. Here's a bag of stone for you.
Yeah, or he'd give out joints.
Have your parents call me if they need some more. He's probably gonna. There you go. He's probably gonna give away his wood this year. He wanted to get rid of his wood, so that's what it is. Yep. He's gonna hand it out to everybody. Here, have a piece of my wood.
Yeah,
there you go. It smells, but it's good.
Yep.
I can see that. Yes. All right, guys. So that's all we have for today. Thank you. Like, subscribe. Check us both out on here. Check us out on Instagram, Facebook. Check us out on Spotify, Landscaping to the Point on Spotify. Thanks for watching us here today. And you guys have a good week. We will be back next Sunday. JC, thank you for being back on again today.
Happy Halloween, everyone.
Yep. Happy Halloween, everybody. Enjoy the rest of the week, and later, everybody.